Now, we will hear about the case studies from Poland and elsewhere. It will be moderated by Ligia Kornowska, the Managing Director of the Polish Hospital Federation. And panelists include Ubisław Matejewicz, the CEO of Preventicus Managed Care. We are still waiting for a connection with Luis Valente from ILOF. And other panelists include Tomasz Chomicki, Business Development Director from Samsung Electronics Poland, Magdalena Olborska, from a CSR Manager in Samsung Electronics Poland, and Piotr Baczyński, CEO of Immersion. We'll also hear comments from Dariusz Kostrzewa from Copernicus Medical Entity, and Robert Ługowski, a Managing Partner at Cobin Angels. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure to moderate a session that pertains to very concrete examples and case studies of startups and their successful stories. We shall hear 4 presentations. And after hearing these presentations, we will have a brief discussion among the panelists. So let me first ask Ubisław Matejewicz, the CEO of Preventicus Managed Care, and we will hear your presentation first.
Ubisław, you have to unmute yourself, I think. Być może wsparcie techniczne.
Well, maybe we need technical support because we cannot hear Ubisław. His microphone seems to be muted.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. So let's go back to the presentation. Ligia, thank you very much for the introduction. And also thank you very much, Artur, for the invitation. So my name is Ubisław Matejewicz. Later for the discussion, I invite you to call me Lupo. It's easier and shorter. So I'd like to speak about how and why the managed care program is so successful in Germany, and also we're expanding globally now and in Europe. So next slide, please. I have the control? Okay. So Arthur asked me to go to take only a few slides due to the 10 minutes, but you can also use these slides, a complete presentation also for distribution, Arthur. So important is why in my 30 years, my 30-year business in the healthcare area, I come now to stroke. Stroke is really the biggest challenge for our world and for the human beings on our planet. So we have really 15 million strokes per year worldwide, 5 million die, and another 5 million left permanently disabled. So, and I like what your former Minister of Health said, that stroke is a tragedy. And I agree with that. And I think this is something where all can do very fast, with fast success, something against that. So also to come, that's a short, this is in UAE and even in Russian Federation, but all Romania, worldwide, this is a big, big problem. The other interesting aspect is the cost. Stroke is one of the biggest cost drivers worldwide in any country of the world. So when you look at Europe, so we have 1.1 million strokes in Europe per year. and the rising is 35%. So we have 35% more strokes every year. So 1.1 million, only that you have a feeling, is a city like Cologne have stroke per year in Europe. So in the total cost, when you look at the total cost, it's 60 billion per year. So it's really a big challenging aspect for every nation worldwide. So these are only the numbers for Europe. So then you can easily calculate in the context of 38 million in Poland, how much is it in Poland. So the good thing is that this is avoidable. So the biggest driver of stroke is AF, an atrial fibrillation, so like an arrhythmia of the heart. So, and the thing is that 5 million Europeans live with undetected and untreated arrhythmia. And the thing behind that is this arrhythmias, you don't feel them. So it's something you don't feel them, and they're episodically and they are not regular. So that means when you get an arrhythmia, then a clock goes into the brain, and then you get this stroke, in short. So I'd like to tell you how easy it is to avoid this. You can download Preventicus Heartbeats app from the App Store. You download on your phone, you measure it, and then you can do it 1 time a day, 10 times a day, as you like. If you feel somehow not sure that you have something, then measure it. The idea behind that, so you can download it, it would not cost you. The idea behind it, and so that's coming to the case study in Germany. So we're working together with the insurance company. So the client who is 55 years and have 2 more risk factors, or he is 65, so with no more risk factors, but in context of this age, they are the most arrhythmias. So in this moment, where the insurance company sees, oh, we have a person at risk, they get a letter, they download the link, and then put the special key personalized on his person. So then immediately this app has a different look and feel. So there's the name of the insurance companies and on it, and he is entering the program, so the screening program. So after that, if he's measuring and something is with this, then it's going to evaluate it to the telecare center. And in the case that we don't want to make this person uncomfortable, so that he don't get a red traffic, he said, okay, it's a gray one. Please go to your cardiolog, and we'll guide him to the next cardiolog to do the next step. According to the German laws and also European laws, you get a patch. So it's a 14 days patch. So the reason why it's 14 days is that the chance to get this arrhythmia is much higher if you use it longer. But, and that's important of the Preventicus managed care, the accuracy of our logarithm of our technology is 99.6%. So according to this accuracy, we receive a lot of money for the European Union. So the European Union Horizon 2020, we did a lot of projects with them and received a lot of money also with them. So we are the only system worldwide which has this accuracy. So, and after that, the cardiolog gets the reporting, and then, and only the cardiolog. So we are working with the leading cardiologs. Also, we have We're working with the Polish cardiologists together, so worldwide with the leading cardiologists, and only the cardiologist, only the doctor is doing the diagnosis and the treatment. So only to make very sure what is behind that. It's not only the app. We have definitely on the left corner, that's the app, the Heartbeats app. We have also software or technology for the telecare platform, the CareSafe platform that will be this technology which is implemented at the insurance company, could be, for example, implemented in your biggest insurer in Poland. And we have the CareNet platform would be implemented at the cardiology center, at your cardiolog in Poland, when we also look at Poland. So what I said, 96% accuracy, download this app, check it. The other important aspect is that we have also, let me say, a wristband and a watch, which is not, let me say, normal watch. It's the night watch. And important is that we have also aspects of continuous monitoring of the heartbeats. Therefore, we use the watch, so that could be for the inpatient and outpatient flow from the hospital, very, very important. I would not go too deep in that. If there are questions, anytime, call me. So the Preventicos Telecare Center is the link between the patient and physicians. The Preventicos CareSafe will be implemented at the insurance company. Important is that the telecare center don't know the name of the patient, and only in the CareSafe there is the matching of both information, the patient data with the personalized data. So it's one of the most secure system worldwide. So the CareNet, this is also important, that also only the cardiolog and the insurance company knows this person who is at risk. So I don't want to go too deep in the health economic validation. It's important to look at it. You find it also the link to the newest from June 9th from this year, from 2020. So you see how important is the health economic validation, because you cannot use any tools which has not such an accuracy. Otherwise, you would generate more costs than you will have a value for that. So we work with a lot of institutions. You see also the Polish Dariusz Dudek is also here. We have Jens Eckstein, all the big cardiologs, and I'm very happy that I know that in Poland there are 5 really, really good cardiologs in Poland. So in short, reach it out, screen it, check it, and diagnose it in a very short aspect. And this is Preventicos Managed Care. Any questions?
Okay, so thank you very much for your presentation. Bardzo dziękujemy.
Okay, thank you very much for presenting your solution. And right now, Luis Valente, CEO of iLove.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for the invitation. I will now share my screen. Let me know when you have it. So do I have control on the presentation? I think I do, right? Okay, perfectly. So I'm Luis. I'm CEO of iLove, a startup in the personalized medicine angle, looking forward to build a cloud-based library of both disease biomarkers and complex biological profiles. And the reason why that's important is that for the last century, the development of personalized therapeutics for development of therapeutics for diseases is being made on the assumption that one is going to fit for all, that one treatment is going to fit for all. And unfortunately, that's not the case in many diseases, especially many of the complex heterogeneous diseases that have yet to see a disease-modifying treatment. And the clear case of that is with Alzheimer's. Just in the last 14 years, more than 400 clinical trials failed with no new treatment being approved in the market. And the reasons for that are actually now very clear. For once, Alzheimer's is a very heterogeneous disease. There was a clear failure of the one-fits-all drug model approach. So there's not going to be one medication that's going to work for every Alzheimer's patient. So there is a need for a tool that takes the general population and divides it into the subparts, a certification tool. And on the other hand, the clinical trials that are supposed to output a new treatment for the disease, they have major issues. They are quite invasive. They're very difficult to access. And all of that causes 90% of the patients to drop out of these clinical trials, which of course then translates to huge costs to the industry. So how many more promising drugs will be abandoned or that evaluation seriously delayed because of these issues? This is a question that many biotechs, many promising pharmaceutical companies have been asking. And this is the heart and soul of the problem that we are also helping solve in ILOF. What we're doing is enabling the development of personalized treatments for complex heterogeneous diseases, such as Alzheimer's disease. And the way that we do so is we basically are able to create digital twins or optical fingerprints of the individual biological profile based on a small blood sample, and that then allows the development of personalized therapeutics with that biological profile in hand, and in the future also for the physician to develop and to choose the right therapeutic for the patient based on that biological profile. Technically, we combine a photonics guided by artificial intelligence approach that enables us to store and to get these optical fingerprints, which in the end are digital twins of both individual biomarkers that are in our bloodstream. So it can be proteins, peptides, it can be individual biomarkers, or even complex disease biological profiles, like, for example, the way that a patient reacts differently to a disease, or the way that a patient reacts differently to a treatment. The advantage of the platform that ILOF is bringing to market is really that it's minimally invasive. We only use easily bodily fluids like blood. It's very adaptable. It can easily train for new single biomarkers and biological profiles. And it's extremely affordable, only using light and AI. This is some of the applications that we have proven our technology on case studies, from individual biomarker detection to disease profiling to even disease prognosis. In this case, this was a government-funded project on the COVID-19 angle, to, in this case, not understand how the patient react differently to a certain medication, but understand how the patient and forecast how the patient reacts differently to the COVID-19 infection. And as we know, some patients get very seriously ill, they have to go to the ICU, and some others get mild symptoms. And together with a clinical hospital in Europe, we're able to develop a forecasting tool that at the moment of diagnostic enables the hospital care to predict the number of patients that are going to go to the ICU versus the number of patients that are going to have mild symptoms and potentially are even going to be asymptomatic. We are building this cloud-based library with a growing number of partners all over the world. And our roadmap is to first solve the problem of the industry, to make the process of developing new personalized therapeutics for complex diseases faster and cheaper, so cut the time and the cost. And then, of course, when these new therapeutics are approved, be in a unique position to also help the physician choose the right treatment for the right patient, which would be, of course, a companion diagnostic. What we are enabling is really dramatically cost and time savings, and at the same time making the trials really patient-centric. At this point, some of the techniques that I use to recruit patients involve very invasive procedures like lumbar puncture, and the way that we want to change that is that we want to identify the right profiles just based on their blood profile. On Alzheimer's alone, our initial business case is really to select the right patients to the clinical trials. We can enable, of course, large cost savings and time savings, and transform the way that the industry approaches personalized drug development. It's a very significant market, with just the top 4 pharmaceutical groups spending over 400 million a year screening for just Alzheimer's clinical trials alone. 2 of these pharmaceutical groups we're actually currently engaged with. And the business model that we want to bring to the market is of a shared savings, where we want to enable savings for the industry, and of course, get a sharing a part of the savings we enable to ourselves. This is what sets us apart. We're very easy to validate. We can use both fresh and frozen samples to create our cloud-based library. We're versatile, agnostic on the models. We can run multiple tests. We don't damage the sample in any way. And above all, very low cost in our pricing model. What iLove is really aiming to be in the end is a validating platform technology using AI to accelerate the development and eventually the use of personalized therapeutics for complex diseases, and really change the lives of millions of people living with complex disorders all over the world, with some ongoing use cases and commercial engagements on some of these areas like Parkinson, traumatic brain injury, or even brain tumors. We are a British company with our offices in Oxford. We are officially accelerated at the Oxford University Foundry, with a Tech and Engineering Center in the Center for Medical Research in St. John's Hospital in Porto, Portugal. And just in the past 12 months, we have achieved several academia and clinical engagements. We have raised a little bit over 3 million euros in seed funding, and we are building on 40 years of groundbreaking European academic research. We have also been the lucky winners of several industry and enterprise awards, including being named as one of the top 150 companies in the world by CB Insights, and also being named as one of the transformational business in healthcare by the Financial Times. Our team is a mix of entrepreneurs, scientists, and inventors with a clear goal of making a future of personalized medicine a reality. And we are brought together by a shared passion of preserving memories for Alzheimer's patients all over the world. So we welcome you all to join us in this journey as we make the use and development of personalized therapeutics much more efficient for everyone. This is the end of my presentation. I have been asked to share some of what has been our lessons in the past 12 months, especially as we accelerated during the pandemic. I can quickly share them. I had them on a separate slide, but I can quickly share them. I believe that this new digital transformation world brings immense opportunities both to corporates, institutes, and startups. And the future is, in the end, a mix of these 3 interactions. For corporates, if I can leave any advice, is that open innovation programs are absolutely the way to get innovation going very fast in your organization. We have been collaborating with some pharmaceutical companies because of that. For startups, really focus on your client, on the customer experience, and on the value you provide. And for institutes, be generous and focus on tech transfer, because that will absolutely pay you off on the long term. So thank you all for being here today, and open to any questions that you have.
Thank you, Luis, for your presentation. This is really impressive, and I hope that your company can boost personalized care, medical care in the near future. Okay, bardzo dziękuję za prezentację.
Well, thank you very much for presentation, and it's time for representatives of, well, it's not a startup, but a very innovative company, Samsung. Well, hello and welcome everyone. My name is Tomasz Chomicki, and together with my colleague Magdalena Olborska, we would like to tell you today about solutions, sample applications of a CSR program. Well, Ligia has aptly noted that we are not a startup, but to share a joke with you, we were attending a meeting once. The meeting was staged by President Andrzej Duda. It was a startup meeting, and my colleagues asked me, what is Samsung doing here? And Samsung launched a major business incubator program to deliver different solutions, and we are collaborating with startups, and this is what we are going to talk about today, because we keep on adapting our program to requirements of the world of technology. A handful of examples, foundations of approach taken by Samsung. How was this idea born? How it flourished in Poland? Well, Magdalena and I will tell you more about it. So, Magdalena, you're overseeing this program, so please tell us how come, we've started designing such solutions at Samsung. Well, hello, thank you for inviting us. Well, today we are going to talk about activities related to healthcare, but from a very different perspective. We are going to show you the business perspective, the CSR perspective. So very briefly, I'll start with CSR, because corporate social responsibility should start with that. So what is what are 17 objectives of sustainable development adopted in 2015? It identifies challenges for the humankind in all countries, regardless of the degree of development, regardless of these mature democracies or aspiring countries or rising countries. Those goals include goals that have to be met by 2030, and Poland signed the 2030 agenda. And save for such activities that are meant to improve the quality of life in developing countries, such as, ending poverty, ending hunger or famine. There are also objectives related to economic growth, improvement of education standards, fighting inequalities, and something that is very important, activities for the climate and the environment, and partnership and sustainable consumption. There are 17 objectives, which are later split into 169 tasks. So right now, business is challenged by those tasks, alike in other countries. And we are now talking about sustainable development goals as a GDP dashboard, because as it transpires, GDP fails to reflect the actual development of the country, because it does not take into consideration a number of major elements such as work at home, or CO2 emissions, environmental changes, etc. So today we are going to focus on objective 3, good health and the quality of life. It's very relevant. It's never been more relevant than in times of pandemic. Although there are voices that sustainable development goals are more relevant than ever in times of looming crisis. So something that back several months ago did not seem to be a problem, now faced by pandemic, we have changed our mind. So what is goal 3 all about? To provide everyone, regardless of age, good health and to promote well-being from the business perspective. Goal 3 translates into several actions: creating innovations, supporting patients in treatment, in diagnostics, development products and services, promoting a healthy and active lifestyle. And Samsung is focusing on that. For businesses, it means safety and mental health of employees, because you need to keep in mind that well-being is rising in significance. There are even new faculties opened at universities, and it's embraced by HR departments. Well-being, life-work balance is taken into consideration.
Dziennego zarządzania kadrami. Następną ważną kwestią jest popularyzacja kwestii związanych właśnie ze zdrowiem i bezpieczeństwem w łańcuchu dostaw. O co tu dokładnie chodzi? W przypadku Polski to na przykład ogromną ilość wypadków drogowych, których większość właśnie dzieje się w trakcie drogi do pracy bądź wykonywania jakichś czynności służbowych. I rzeczywiście tutaj będziemy jako Polska zabiegać o to, żeby przeciwdziałać właśnie tym bardzo wysokim wskaźnikom. Wreszcie dostęp do systemu opieki zdrowotnej w ramach partnerstw publiczno-prawnych, ale także współpraca firm na rzecz profilaktyki i edukacji zdrowotnej. No i wreszcie element środowiskowy, czyli ograniczenie szkodliwego wpływu uciążliwych branż na zdrowie ludzi i środowisko przyrodnicze. Jak postanowiliśmy się zmierzyć właśnie z tymi wyzwaniami? Ano poprzez program Samsung Inkubator. Śmiemy twierdzić, że to jedyny taki program w Polsce. Założyliśmy go z myślą o startupach i wspieraniu przedsiębiorczości, ale głównie w Polsce Wschodniej. Wynikało to z tego, że jako odpowiedzialny inwestor zagraniczny zależało nam na tym, aby też w jakiś sposób zareagować na strategię na rzecz odpowiedzialnego rozwoju ogłoszoną przez polski rząd. I
przełączenie slajdu.
Tak, właśnie to, czy Państwo widzą slajd w tej chwili o właśnie, przepraszam, tak, małe problemy techniczne. Więc Samsung Inkubator ma wspierać startupy właśnie w rozwoju projektów w różnych dziedzinach. Cechą naszego programu jest to, że nie przyjmujemy praw i udziałów do projektów startupowych, które rozwijamy w inkubatorze. Poza tym inkubatory mają być takimi lokalnymi centrami wymiany myśli, wiedzy, podnoszenia kompetencji i przeciwdziałania wykluczeniu cyfrowemu. Obecnie prowadzimy inkubatory w 3 lokalizacjach w Polsce. Jest to Białystok, Lublin i Rzeszów. Wspieramy tu projekty startupowe w szerokim ujęciu. Mam na myśli w dziedzinie ICT, ale mamy też, ale też fokusujemy się tutaj na poszczególnych obszarach i tak w Rzeszowie jest to internet rzeczy, w Lublinie cyberbezpieczeństwo, a Białystok wspomniane cele zrównoważonego rozwoju, czyli wspieramy tu startupy, które tworzą w tym zakresie rozwiązania. Przestrzeń jest bezpłatna, udział w programie również. Sama inkubacja trwa od 6 do 9 miesięcy. Z racji pandemii działania te prowadziliśmy w trybie online. Wspieramy startupy w developmencie od fazy koncepcyjnej do prototypu. Bardzo cennym tutaj elementem tego programu jest ścieżka szkoleniowa, która liczy ponad 110 godzin i wsparcie mentorów z Centrum Rozwoju Badawczego Samsung. Drugiego co do wielkości po koreańskim Samsung R&D. Więc startupy bardzo cenią sobie tutaj doradztwo naszych ekspertów z R&D. Dodatkowo promujemy i uczymy też komunikacji startupy i wspieramy je w pozyskaniu kontaktu do inwestorów, w dalszych wdrożeniach, a najlepsze pomysły rzeczywiście wspieramy finansowo. I na naszym pokładzie znalazło się kilka startupów takich w obszarze zdrowia, chociaż przyznam Państwu, że to też jest ciekawa obserwacja, bo podobne programy prowadzą nasi koledzy Samsunga w innych krajach Europy i tam jednak do programu zgłaszają się w większości startupy działające w obszarze zdrowia. U nas to wygląda różnie. Jest taki mały miszmasz. Niemniej tutaj pod kątem dzisiejszego wystąpienia uda nam się przedstawić kilka przykładów startupów działających w obszarze zdrowia. Pierwszy to TrueSense, który wykorzystując technologię rozszerzonej rzeczywistości opracowuje modele narządów właśnie w obrazie augmented reality i układów. Tutaj Tomek może szerzej opowiedzieć właśnie o współpracy.
Kilka słów o TrueSense. To jest augmented reality i wirtualna rzeczywistość. To są rozwiązania, które udaje nam się wspólnie pokazywać. Udało nam się, tak naprawdę TrueSense'owi udało się zrobić ciekawe rozwiązanie dotyczące symulacji ortopedycznej. Bardzo ciekawe, innowatorskie rozwiązanie, które zostało pokazane i dostarczone do kilku jednostek medycznych w ramach szkolenia. Mamy też startup, który się nazywa Stepi. Stepi to ciekawe podejście monitorowania aktywności fizycznej, niezwykle ważne w przypadku COVID-u, we współpracy z dużymi instytucjami ubezpieczeniowymi, które polegają na tym, że rozwiązanie polega na tym, że jeżeli człowiek będzie wykonywał dużą aktywność fizyczną, to jego opłata za polisę ubezpieczeniową będzie dużo mniejsza. Co jest spójne i bardzo ważne w strategii Samsunga, to, że dbamy przede wszystkim o to, co jest, wydaje nam się, też niezwykle ważne nie tylko w zakresie ochrony służby zdrowia, ale również cyberbezpieczeństwa. W związku z tym te startupy, z którymi pracujemy, tworzą rozwiązania, które stają się też nowoczesną platformą i bezpieczną platformą również dla pacjentów.
Tak, i tutaj jeszcze chcielibyśmy pokazać dwa przykłady. One może nie dotyczą bezpośrednio opieki zdrowotnej, ale też poruszają ten wątek zdrowotny. Jest to pierwszy startup, to jest Global X Solution z rozwiązaniem COBI, takim wsparciem psychologicznym online. Oni są właśnie na etapie wdrożenia chatbotu, który będzie pomagał młodym ludziom, młodzieży właśnie w takim pierwszym kontakcie z psychologiem, z psychiatrą w razie właśnie takiej początkującej depresji lub stanów przygnębienia. Jak wiadomo, w Polsce rośnie liczba właśnie przypadków właśnie tego rodzaju schorzeń. Dostęp do specjalistów jest bardzo utrudniony, szczególnie na prowincji. Często wydłużające się kolejki powodują, że ci młodzi zostają ludzie praktycznie bez pomocy. Co więcej, znowu pandemia spowodowała, że tych przypadków jest więcej, a pomoc jeszcze bardziej jest ograniczona. No i kolejny przykład to już tak w obszarze zdrowia, ale bardziej osób niepełnosprawnych. Chodzi o rozwiązanie The Compass Associated Apps, czyli takiego wsparcia dla osób niewidomych i niedowidzących w obszarze poruszania się w takich dużych obiektach użyteczności publicznej, więc to się też wpisuje w obszar Smart City. Chcielibyśmy też Państwu opowiedzieć o rozwiązaniach takich typowo biznesowych poza inkubatorem.
I tutaj, tak już, ponieważ sygnał dał nam organizator, że powinniśmy już powoli zmierzać do końca, więc tylko dwa takie wybrane przykłady, tych przykładów jest więcej, ale mamy podpisaną umowę współpracy z Narodowym Instytutem Kardiologii, gdzie wykonujemy wspólnie różnego rodzaju badania, również badania kliniczne dotyczące wykorzystania elektroniki konsumenckiej do badania pacjentów. W tym też mamy za sobą ciekawe rozwiązania w zakresie przetestowania aktywności fizycznej versus leczenie choroby miażdżycy. Dla osób, które są tym zainteresowane, oczywiście po panelu zapraszamy do kontaktu. Mamy też współpracę też z jednostkami komercyjnymi, takimi jak Centrum Medyczne w Rzeszowie, z którym robimy ciekawe rozwiązania, też okołomedyczne, dotyczące na przykład tworzenia dokumentacji elektronicznej medycznej. Następny slajd, poproszę, może ja sobie kliknę. Współpracujemy też z dużymi graczami typu ASECO i wspólnie z nimi tworzymy rozwiązania, które wydaje nam się, że są rozwiązaniami też na miarę potrzeb. Też rozmawialiśmy dzisiaj i było w czasie panelów dużo dyskusji na temat elektronizacji w służbie zdrowia. To jest przykład, który udało nam się też zrobić, to jest wykorzystanie urządzenia typu tablet do tworzenia dokumentacji medycznej, dokumentacji w postaci takiej, że ta dokumentacja jest po pierwsze bezpieczna, zabezpieczona, jest ona opatrzona podpisem biometrycznym i podpisem kwalifikowanym. Robimy to z bardzo dużym graczem, który też jest partnerem tego forum, czyli z firmą ASECO. Dla osób, które chcą z nami porozmawiać na ten temat, to zapraszamy. Mamy to wdrożone w kilku dużych organizacjach zdrowotnych. I ostatnie nasze plany i działania na przyszłość, to też podchodzimy do działań związanych z certyfikacją i wiemy, że nasze urządzenia też konsumenckie na przykład służą do tego, żeby robić sobie elektrokardiogram i takie rozwiązania też w Polsce robimy. Jesteśmy też partnerem i dostawcą dużych rozwiązań też między innymi dla Wielkiej Orkiestry Świątecznej Pomocy i to są rozwiązania stricto medyczne, o nich też dzisiaj nie ma czasu rozmawiać, jesteśmy producentem rozwiązań dotyczących ultrasonografii i diagnostyki obrazowej. Pozostawiamy kontakt do siebie. To, co chcielibyśmy, żeby pozostało z Państwem, to to, że ten program, o którym opowiadała Magda, jest dla nas niezwykle ważny. Myślę, że daje on szansę też wypromowania tego, bo tych startupów medycznych do nas nie trafia za dużo. W związku z tym ta promocja dzisiaj, duży ukłon do Państwa, żebyście też, jeżeli uznacie, że warto po tej prezentacji się z nami skontaktować, pozostawiamy do siebie kontakt i dziękujemy.
Dziękujemy.
Dziękuję bardzo.
Well, thank you very much. I think it's vital when experienced company are assisting startups in their early days on the market. So thank you very much, and I hope that many startups will benefit from your assistance. And right now, Piotr Baczyński, CEO of Immersion VR. Good evening. Can you hear me? Well, hello. Thank you for inviting me. I'm the CEO of Immersion. My name is Piotr Baczyński, and we mainly design VR or augmented reality apps. For several years, we've been the pioneer of VR apps in Poland. It was founded in 2014, and ever since that time, we've completed more than 100 projects. And the main area of interest is the US market. These are our key partners, and collaborators, I would like to tell you more about a project that we've developed in times for pandemic for the US government, because I think it's a very interesting case which presents capabilities and potential applications of gaming functionalities to design something for the medical market. Well, roughly in April, in March, or even in March, because we have links with the U.S. government through different institutions, including the Polish Chamber of Commerce, and we learned that the U.S. Veteran Department is seeking for a solution to train its medical professionals. And one of the biggest issues in the U.S., but not only, many of them get infected, and usually they get infected while they were putting on personal protective equipment. So this scan that you see on the right-hand side of the screen, these are resources that were available at the time. So, this is a handout scanned, thousands of times that was 2 decades old. So, this is an example of procedures effective in U.S. Army. So we started planning and thinking how to design a tool that is more effective and how to implement it and deliver it in the shortest time possible. And it took us 7 days, roughly. The initial version of the training app was ready. It was later sent to the 300,000 doctors in the US. We had support of Microsoft, which shared its cloud-based technologies and search engines with us, and we have used Unity, the most powerful gaming engine. I'm going to show you how this app works. Can I split my screen when I'm sharing it? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so the app is based on... Okay, there is a key assumption. Well, the user has to perform the procedure, has to follow the procedure manually, and it's a topic. There is substantial research that proves that if, while the training lasts, instead of reading about it, you will perform a task manually, an area of your memory, the so-called working memory, that has a very short span, just several seconds, becomes active, and this knowledge stays with you for much longer. So we have created an app. You have to go through all processes. You have to remove your jewelry. You have to wash your hands. Later, you have to complete several more challenging steps. You have to put on the protective gown. You can look up this 3D model, the avatar, and inspect him from all sides. You can watch video. Well, they have been, shot by doctors who had very little time. So as you can imagine, they were shooting footage between one appointment and another one. And later, when you put the mask, we are learning such things as the sequence and how to avoid most common mistakes. For example, putting on your gloves is a great example, but we have to complete all stages. When you are putting on your gloves, one of the most frequent mistakes made by doctors and healthcare professionals, you don't pull gloves all the way. It's a detail, it's a minutiae, but very dangerous potentially. So manually you have to pull it all the way, and you really remember that when you do it yourself much more effectively than you read about it or see infographics. And we have noticed rather quickly that this training is highly effective, because most training sessions that are released as online in online format, they have very low completion rates, sometimes as low as 5%. You know, simply users never reach the end. In case of our app, initial tests, completion rate exceeded 94%. So, you know, identification, 3D models, boosting the appeal of training. So you're learning by the way, and it proves much more effective. This is an example that I like to use, that if you are talking to a 10-year-old who is regularly playing World of Tanks, probably this child knows more about war machines from World War II than many educated people or even historians, because they simply live and breathe this information. And can I go back to my presentation for a minute? Because we went through it. Okay, so a couple of words about technology that supports this app. The technology is used for gaming. That's what we specialize in. But because computer games are one of the fastest growing areas and many people are designing games, we have an awesome environment for creating such app. If we wanted to build this app any other way, it would take ages. But since we could rely on an existing technology, many elements are ready to use. For example, the doctor's avatar, the model, is ready to use. You can simply buy the doctor and use it. So animations, those footages are also readily available. Our instruction video works on Apple, on Android, and we are also able to release and share this training video on cloud and 3D visuals. The quality of image is very high. But the biggest advantage of all is such technology is much more engaging, and feedback from doctors was very positive. By the way, we were provided with findings of a survey which claimed that brochures sent to hospitals, brochures that were meant to reduce the number of risks performed on a single machine, contributed to no difference. There were basically no improvements because no brochure has been read. Okay, so this is everything what I wanted to tell you about our app for the US Veteran Department. Thank you very much. Piotr, thank you very much for your presentation. I have to admit, being a physician, I think this is a very much needed solution. I remember in the first wave of pandemic, all physicians, all doctors from one hospital were invited to a training, and they were watching videos, how to put on PPE, how to take them off. And as you can imagine, there were no long-lasting results. They would forget very quickly. And by the way, when you watch a training, you know, it's not as effective as you have to click something through and, you know, perform some tasks manually. Some rooting for your solution. So I would like to thank all speakers for your presentations. We have less than 10 minutes. So I think it's 5 minutes each for Dariusz, Robert, and a request to you, please comment on presentations we have seen, plus I'll have one question. So I'll start with Dariusz Kostrzewa, the CEO of Copernicus medical entity. A request, please comment on presentations and share your brief answer. How can a startup initiate cooperation with the hospital and what is vital for its management?
Państwa, dziękuję bardzo.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Ligia. Congratulations to all speakers. These are all very valuable initiatives. I have been watching the development of startups in Poland for quite a while, and it is indeed very fascinating. If you allow me, just a few words about each of the projects that were presented. Luba, wonderful. This is a fantastic project. We have been watching the situation and the problems of undiagnosed arterial fibrillation for years. Patients are simply not aware what symptoms they should pay attention to, and once they visit a doctor, it is already late because they have the first symptoms of a stroke. So insurers, the National Health Fund, and the State Insurance Fund, they should all be interested in implementing solutions such as this one. They should be made available to patients, and patients should use them. Another element that I consider very important, young people are often dying during their sleep for unclear or unknown reasons, and then it turns out during the post-mortem that this person, this person did not seem to suffer from any disease, but during a post-mortem, we have this statement from a physician or from a forensic doctor that there were undiagnosed problems with the heartbeat rhythm, so the febrile arrhythmia. So sometimes maybe doctors should have access to just such monitoring of heartbeat over a long period, and we would be able to detect so many more problems. And these tests or measurements that are taken once in a while are not always giving us good enough information. And you have this 14-day monitoring in your program that is already a very good diagnostic tool. So this atrial fibrillation is something that it contributes greatly to the strokes, and it should be detected in as many cases as possible. As for the I Love project, Louis, thank you very much for this initiative and for your project. Biobanks are very fashionable, gathering and collecting information that would be ready to process and accessible. And this biological fingerprint, this is something that could support clinical studies. We could certify patients. We could actually identify the most appropriate patients for the clinical studies based on their biological profile. This may not be as useful for hospitals, and I represent a hospital, but we have many problems with patients using multiple medicines that are interacting, and if we can reduce that, this will be a major step forward. So thank you very much. And as for Samsung, well, Samsung needs no introduction. We are very happy to learn about the different phase of Samsung Corporation. I am so very happy to learn that you are supporting startups. We ourselves, as a public hospital, try to do the same. This is the right direction. Well, it is a pity that only 3 cities are covered by your incubators, but this is a good start, and I'm sure startups are more than happy to have contact with a company that is so well known for their technological achievements. I will certainly send some innovators to you, and I hope that they can successfully start cooperation with your company. Immersion virtual reality. Piotr, this is a fantastic thing. These training models based on avatars, on virtual reality, you are so correct in going with the times. We are preparing a new hospital center in Gdańsk, and we will have to train volunteers, for example, people who are not medical professionals and healthcare professionals. So such basic tasks that need to be performed by persons who are to look after patients and do not have sufficient medical training or experience can be learned through such a training app. And if I may, I will get in contact with you to learn about more details on your technology. We will want to give access to our volunteers, to your app, because they could then acquire some basic knowledge before they even start their work. Then we can train them further, and we can show them in practice how to put on their protective gear. And the truth is that medical profession we have more and more young people in the medical professions, and these young people are so used to computer games, to virtual reality, to avatars, so they'd be probably very proficient in using such tools for self-training, and then we can help them more, explaining about the risk of infection, how to put on the protective gear. But thanks to your app, they could have the basic training already before coming to see us. So I hope that brochures and leaflets will soon become the thing of the past. And what we will use is apps that could be downloaded into everyone's smartphone. And then we could always have updates, information could be updated, and this is so flexible. So thank you very much. That's all from me. Well, thank you very much. And if I could now hear a few words from Robert Łukowski, the managing partners of Cobin Angels. So just very briefly about each presentation, and just one sentence on how Business Angels can help startups. You have to unmute your microphone, though. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for the invitation, and thank you all for being with us at this late hour. Just a few words of introduction. We are not a healthcare entity. We're not a startup. We are not a service provider. We try to contact startups with potential investors, and then we monitor this cooperation in terms of venture capital or other support given by top managers or developed companies to startups. So this type of activity is called Business Angels. It is a well-known role and a well-known form of cooperation with startups. It is still developing in Poland, and we are one of the first such organizations in Poland. A general comment on my part. The examples that we have just seen show us that startups can be very successful in finding niches or gaps in the market in each sector. In this case, this is the healthcare sector, and they are able to be very quick and very agile in filling these gaps with their products and their proposals. They we had an example of a company that was doing something else, but learned that there is a space that requires quick adaptation, and then there are some revenues that could be tapped into. So kudos for you, and congratulations for being able to respond so quickly to the market need. Another example, effective support for startups. We could see this in the case of Immersion. I had an opportunity to take part in this project, and we were successful as regards the American market, and with the cooperation with the Federal Veteran Authority. This is an institution that manages over 160 hospitals in the United States. We had a partner, Alliance for Innovation, and the partners facilitated the contacts and made this possible. And my third comment is that we are living in interesting times. In my line of business, everyone is wondering what will be the next revolution. We had the Industrial Revolution, then we had the ICT revolution. Now everyone is looking at data. But investors are already thinking about the next big thing and what will it be. The data reports, generating reports, this could be it. So the White Paper's report of 2018 said that people are living longer, new therapies are available, but healthcare systems are less and less efficient. So considering the technological progress, we could risk a statement that medicine is no longer a pure life science. It is closer to engineering and technological. If we have already analyzed the genome, we could address needs at a very, very scientific, very technical level. So many trends seem to indicate that the next revolution could be in the world of medicine. Many potential investors, many investors who support startups, including Andreessen Horowitz, one of the top 3 investors from the United States, published a manifesto, and many investors really reserve many of its funds to invest in health sector startups. This is the sector that is certainly going to develop. Congratulations for being startups in this sector, and I do hope that your startups will grow, will develop, and I also hope that Poland as a state will notice this opportunity, namely the fact that we have so many talented people who are highly motivated, competitive, and entrepreneurial. So our healthcare system requires improvement. It needs to be reformed. So maybe this is an additional motivation to look for innovations and to implement those. So hopefully we can use this opportunity and we can focus on this very category of startups, namely those who deal with healthcare or life sciences. And by supporting them, we could build an interesting, promising sector that would become our export flagship product. We are convinced at Corbin Angels that this is indeed going to be so. This is why we are part of the global race amongst investors, and We have established a life science chapter. There is a group of investors that are interested in startups in this very field. We keep signing agreements with new investors. The number is growing. We are searching for such startups, and this could be direct investments, or this could be strategic partnership in entering foreign markets, or simply bringing people into contact with foreign partners or investors. We need more business angels. As business angels, we need more attention for startups. Samsung is a good example here. Corporations should pay more attention to startups. So we should use this opportunity. It's not just us. It has already been noticed elsewhere in the world, and either we use this or we miss another opportunity. So fingers crossed. I wish you all success, and thank you very much for this opportunity.
Well, thank you very much. I would like to thank all panelists for very exciting presentations and statements, and over to the studio. Well, we also would like to thank you for very interesting, information-packed and highly inspiring presentation. I would like to Ligia Kornowska for moderating and sharing her knowledge.